Hey guys, want to talk to you about a conversation I had the other day. I always tend to have these interesting conversations about life and the economy and stuff like that. Anyway, it kind of got on to the point that I think actually a lot of people are debt slaves. They just don't know it yet. And I know that's really controversial because no one wants to talk about it. I think that's a topic on its own. Why does no one want to talk about this? The thing is it's all a part of the system. To get ahead, you need to borrow money. And I'm not saying I've got nothing against borrowing money because opportunity and risk are two sides of the same coin. I just think people just don't see the other side of the coin. They don't see the risk side of that coin. They think it's opportunity on both sides of the coin. I don't believe that. I want to talk about, are we debt slaves? When I started getting into banking in 2007, it was common for people to still have that goal of, I'll retire in my 50s. It feels so far away from where we're at now. Like, I'll retire in my 50s. You'll be lucky if you retire in your 60s. And people don't go, oh, I'm looking forward to retiring in my 60s. What people say, they'll be happy if they're not working in their 70s. So it's interesting that little psychological spin in how in the language of how people are communicating. My business sells debt, right? I'm a mortgage broker. I make money from selling debt. So I have a first-hand view of these things, and I've been looking at this since I've been in banking and finance, which is 15 years now. And it's just not right. Like, I don't have any other reason to say that this is my opinion other than it's what I see, because if I wanted my business to be more successful, I'd do the opposite and spruik some property or try and get people some more debt I don't think necessarily is suitable to them. I believe in property as an investment. What I believe is that people just take too much risk because they're borrowing too much, and that therefore makes it a bad investment. But let's look at this from another angle. Let's look at this from the average first home buyer in Melbourne these days is about 35 years old. So if you look at an average loan term, you got 30 years on that loan term to pay that off. If you do some basic maths, that means these people who take out these loans are going to be 65 years old by the time they pay their debt off. So you've got a little chance of having enough for retirement if you're still in debt till the age of 65. That's an opinion, could be wrong. The fact that they've moved superannuation from 9% to 12%, I think it'll be 12% in 2025. Next year, yeah. The fact that they've moved it up 33% from 9% to 12% tells you that it wasn't working in the first place. We've had this policy, government have had this policy that's meant to help people in retirement. They've had to up it by 33%. What that tells me is they don't know what they're doing and their plans have failed. The one thing I've got out of the last 15 years is you should not trust anyone, any party, to deliver the most important things in your life. You should put that responsibility in your hands. Maybe the government does come through and they help you. I disagree with that. Maybe they do. But if they don't, who have you got to blame? You've had a lifetime of not taking responsibility. I look at it and go, if you take ultimate responsibility and you've got decades to do it, you'll make it happen. I just don't see the common sense in getting into debt for a massive part of your life. I use the example of if you've owned property for 5 or more years in Melbourne, you've actually got the opportunity to sell up and move to a regional town and basically have no debt. I just want to speak to this story because I think it's important. And that is that, we're talking about the lifestyle differences. Obviously, there's pros and cons, but at the end of the day, you got to make sacrifices. You got to do hard things to get the life you want. And you either believe that or you don't. The thing I come back to is that you can get into a lot of debt and people feel forced into a lot of debt in ways they feel trapped, because if you want to buy where your parents are, the prices are what the prices are. At the end of the day, you're still making a choice. You're making a choice on where to live. I get that it's a lifestyle choice and you've got potentially your family there, or there's work there, or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're making a choice for now. I want to live in this suburb, in this school zone. And that's cool. I haven't got anything wrong with choices, but I think it's acknowledging the flip side of that. Okay, I buy here, I'm going to be in debt till I'm 65 years old. Super's probably not going to cut it to have a good retirement. What is the actual plan? You could have any plan you want. All I'm saying is that people don't have a plan, and what happens is they become debt slaves because they're just focused on the amount of debt they've got. And when the debt fluctuates up, like it's fluctuating at the moment, people aren't looking towards their retirement. They're just looking at maintaining the electricity, the food, every bloody thing else that's going up. And I think that if you don't see the forest for the trees, you're making a choice. You're making a choice for your lifestyle now versus your lifestyle later on. And everyone's free to make their choice. I just think people should be able to look at these things through a few different lenses, and looking through the lens of are we debt slave can be confronting, but I think it's something for people to consider and then make their longer term decisions, partly based off that angle of looking at things, but also all the other angles of looking at things like their now lifestyle, their family, all of that sort of stuff. I hope that helps. I just thought I'd share that random conversation I had with someone the other day. Cheers.